Hey Simon, good morning. Good to see you, man.
Good morning, Doug. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Yesterday, Chicago got hit by a massive snowstorm, the biggest one we've had in a couple of years,
How
and
much
my
snow did you get?
stupid snowplow broke.
Oh, your snowplow. I got a spare one. I'll ship it to you. I don't need it.
I had to hand shovel my entire driveway 3 or 4 times yesterday. So my whole back is completely out. I'm getting old, just like you, man.
Haven't you got kids that can shovel?
Jake is like, no, I'm not doing that. No,
Okay.
pay me.
We need to have a discussion about management and labor, and delegation, Doug.
Oh, when I was growing up, my father said, go shovel the driveway. That's what you did. You didn't say pay me. Did
Yes.
you say that to your own father?
Oh, no.
If your father asked you to go take out the garbage, do you say pay me?
I could have said it once, but I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have lived for a lot longer. He was a man of many words, a man of very few words. So, besides, it wasn't him that I was scared of. It was my mother. My father was a pushover. My mother was the taskmaster. So what are we going to talk about today, my friend?
Well, I've been, as long as I've known you, you've always played around with dating anyone else. And I've always, I've always found that sales and marketing and dating have a lot in common, right? And as far as I know, you're on the market. As far as you told me, and you've had some experience with, I don't know, probably Tinder or Grinder or whatever it's called. I can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
But
all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. So my question to you is, how is the dating scene? Like sales, or how is sales like dating from your perspective? It's been a long time since I dated. It's been probably 17 years, so I'm out of touch. So if you had to teach somebody sales and dating, what are some tips or strategies you would provide?
Well, they're all good questions. And yes, I have been dating since I got divorced. And like you, it was a long, long time before I had to, since I dated, right? And the first thing is, it's very scary at the start, like sales. If you're new to sales, it's very scary. Cold calling, rejection. What do you say? And I think that there's all those things, and it's all online, and it's all on an app or on a website, and so it's very, it's very immediate. And so the task of perhaps sales is to get a meeting or get a face-to-face. Okay, so I have to send you something in a cold DM or a cold outreach that piques your attention, that says, yeah, I'm going to accept the phone call. I'm going to go on a meeting, have a meeting with Doug, or I'm going to go on a date. So the sales process is exactly the same. The reward is hopefully better with dating than sales, but you look at it and say, so here's the biggest thing I've found with dating online, and people thinking, look at these two old guys. They're way too old to talk about dating. That's like, and if my kids, know that because they've met a few of my dates. And so I think they just roll their eyes and say, oh my God, Dad's on some, geriatric dating site. But the biggest thing I've learned is humor. Okay. If you read all of these profiles, these dating profiles, the most common thread to come out is that the other person will say, I want a person that can make me laugh. And if you can do that, you are 80% there. It's actually not always about looks. It's more about personality. It's more about humor. It's more about empathy. Girls seem to have this, a lot of women seem to have this notion that they think chivalry is dead. And so they're looking for their knight in shining armor. And so, but when you relate all those things back to sales, the same is true. All of the best relationships I've had with sales and clients is where humor is involved, in where personality is more important than anything, where we have empathy for each other, and where we really understand what's, the other person. So, and I think that that's where the similar is. Now, I will tell you that you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find a princess or a prince in dating, but that's no difference than selling. That until if you want to find $100,000 client, you have to do a lot of work beforehand. And so I think that their dating is exactly the same as selling. And if you're a good salesperson, you're probably going to be okay dating wise, I think. I wouldn't know. I'm not a good salesperson. So, I'll leave the actual results to my dating life to when you and I have a beer, Doug.
And it's funny because sales, I think people feel that the best way to date is to pick up a book. And I say that coming from the background of, as I mentioned, I wrote a post about PUAs, right? And so many guys would pick up a book I wrote. By the way, I didn't write the book from my perspective. The PUA pickup artist told me all of it, and I ghost wrote for them. And anyway, and as I'm writing that, I'm realizing, while we rely on scripts, when you can rely on emotion and vibe, reading the room and empathy, and trying to just be a human being. Well, you've got a book of script, and then you try to internalize it and go to the bar and say the most audacious thing you could think of just to break the cycle. And to me, I think dating, sales, when you're natural, when you approach it from a bit of confidence, but it's natural. I think the best pickup line in the history of humanity is, "Hi, what's your name?" It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. That's just me. Do you disagree?
No, I completely agree. I mean, my son has a best friend, okay? And my son is always at his house, and they both don't have girlfriends, okay? I have way more dates than my son does, of which I remind him constantly. And his best friend came over the other day, and he said, "Well, I said, why can't both of you get girlfriends?" And he said, "Well, we're on these dating websites, and we don't know what to say to these girls." And I said, "Wait, you're 20 years old, both of you. You both look okay. I mean, you could bathe a bit more. And, I don't think that all this bum fluff you've got all over your face does wonders, but maybe some girls like that Yeti look. And, you could get a haircut, but, you're not Charlie, you're not Charles Manson's cousin. So it's probably, why don't you just say hello to these girls? Like, how hard can it be?" See, in another life, Doug, I wanted to be a warm-up guy for TV. You know what? The warm-up guy. So when they're in the live TV audience and they have those great TV shows, I want to be the warm-up guy because I like doing the warm-up. I like just saying hi, and it's probably why I want to, develop my speaking business, because I enjoy that interaction, because it's real-time feedback. Just as you said, say hi. My name's Doug. What's the worst that can happen? Drop dead. Fine. Let's tick. Next. Or yeah, they'll say hello back and then just talk from there. But I think that it's like selling too. People will say, "Oh, what about all these secret handshakes? And what about the trial close? And what about the, like all this manipulative language we could use?" And I mean, does that ever work? And women are, or men, depending on who you're dating, our gut is way better than that. You know, we're way smarter than that to be conned by these old school sales tactics.
While you were talking, I was thinking that, if anybody's struggling with dating, they might want to pick up a book on copywriting.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you agree with me. And I will explain why. It's not for the writing part of copywriting. Copywriting is 80% psychology. It's understanding the person in front of you, or even better, understanding your ideal target, right? You don't want to date everybody or anybody. You want to date somebody that you would enjoy being with. So what better way to figure out what makes them tick? What are they thinking about? What are they struggling with? What do they really want? So pick up a book on copywriting, but be careful, because there's two kinds of copywriting. There's direct conversion copywriting, or direct marketing, and there's content marketing. On the direct side, the formula is simple, so simple. What's your offer? And increased traffic to your offer equals sale. So what's your offer? So you're confident, what you're all about. What are you going to give your date? You're going to give them a good time. You're going to give them excitement. You're going to make them mad. That's the offer. But you've got to find the right amount of traffic. That's why you go to bars or clubs, because the traffic is enormous. So if you approach 100 women with your offer, by the end of the night, you will have one, guaranteed. It's a numbers game. So that's direct conversion copywriting. If we focus on our offer, making sure it's really enticing, and we put the offer in front of many people as we possibly can, and see who converts. No, in the dating world, that's similar to one night stands, right?
I wouldn't know,
Doug. I've in the bed and get out.
I've never had a one night stand, Doug. I would never know. So.
Me neither. No. Me neither. I wouldn't even know how to do it.
No.
However, I'm not comfortable with that. I just don't know the dynamics to do. But having said that, I feel like it's a waste of my time to go up to other people, right?
Yeah.
Whereas content writing understands that your market, your ideal market, only 10% are ready to convert to that, right? So we forget about that. We focus more on the 50%. So you went from here to here. You just narrow down your traffic to people who want what you're offering, but are not ready yet. So as a content writer, it's my job to figure out, where do you hang out? If not the bar, where do you hang out? Coffee shop? Do you hang out at the library? If you do, I want to put myself there without selling anything. I just want you to notice me. I'm going to wait. Go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is everything, remember, is done online. Okay, so the audience is there. There are these huge fishing ponds called dating websites. You could make a fortune, Doug, if you went to these dating sites and said, I'll rewrite your profiles. Because all the profiles I've read, 90% of them are atrocious, like terrible. And you attract what the copy, the quality of the copy, is directly, equal to the quality of the response. And so I've looked at, and as I said, as someone who's been online dating for a year, and I'm never going to tell you what dating website I'm on. You can hold a blowtorch to my feet, but people comment on my profile because I know how to write, I think. And so I try and inject a bit of humor into it. And because I don't look like Richard Gere, that's all guys like us have got going for us. So, but there's so much potential in people. If you were dating now, is to say, before you built your profile, go onto LinkedIn and find a copywriter and have them write your profile, your dating profile. That's the first brief. If I was single, Well, I am single, but that's what I would do, because that will increase your results tenfold.
The reason why I am, to follow up with your point, the reason why dating profiles, the ones I've seen, and LinkedIn profiles or web copy are so bad. It's because people think it's about you. It's not. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with who's reading it and making them either depends on your purpose. So for dating, it's to make them excited. So to address, are you just sick of the dating game with the same old sleazy, men, talk about what they're sick of first and then introduce yourself later. Likewise for web copy, people think that other people are impressed with your accomplishments or with how big your company has grown. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
First thing is, can you solve my problem? Do you even know what my problem is? That's what you first need to lead. But one, I know your problem. I know exactly what you're feeling. It feels like that. Two, here's my solution to your problem. And here's how much time you can expect for this to be accomplished. By the way, my name's Doug.
I have many problems, Doug. You only know one of them.
So you have many problems. I picked the most important problems you have.
Okay.
As a copywriter, I don't care about all of your problems. I care about the most important one that you're dealing with today and putting an offer in front of you, and you will buy my service. Almost easy.
True.
I think that here's the thing, though. I want to dial back to the sales part of the conversation. Is that how do salespeople see? I believe salespeople are not successful as they can be because they don't get the right leads, right? So a lot of time they're on the phone with people who have no buying intent or very low buying intent. What they could do better, what is teaming up with marketing folks to figure out how to get people in front of them that have buying intent today, rather than talking to people who downloaded your ebook or talking to people who went to your webinar. That did not indicate a buying intent. That just indicates an interest. And I think we marketers put those weak buying intent in front of salespeople and expect them to close with them. And they can't. They really can't, because you can't make somebody buy something that they don't want to buy today. Am I right, Simon? Or can we?
No, you can manipulate someone to buy something once, but they won't buy it again. And so the lifetime value of that customer is going to be very poor. You're going to get a poor social review. You're certainly not going to get referred. So is it possible to manipulate or coerce someone into doing something once? Yes. Can you repeat it with that person? Definitely not. Okay. So I think that you're absolutely right about why salespeople aren't as successful as they could be. I think, yes, of course, demand gen, so lead generation, so big companies that have marketing departments and have sales departments, there's an obligation on both sides to do their job. Okay, so marketing is to generate interest, begin the conversation, provide the salespeople with people to talk with, okay, that have buying intent, so identify buying intent. Remember that 60% of our customers in the B2C world have already just started to engage online with, companies that they are identifying with anyway. So it's not always, marketing just needs to interrupt that journey that that person's on. Like, I don't think you and I are waking up tomorrow and saying, we need to go out and buy a Porsche. Okay. At least I don't think so. I mean, I didn't win the lottery last week, so I'm not going to go buy a Porsche tomorrow. Okay. But, so we have no buying intent. So the Porsche salesman that calls you and I tomorrow, Doug, is probably wasting their time, So, I think that that's a very good example. But I think that if you go back even one more step back to the dating, is when a salesperson interacts with a prospect, they think of the short-term gain. They want the one night stand. They're trying to get the yes as fast as they can and move on. And that's a function of the wrong culture in the organization. The culture of the organization should be fostering what's the lifetime value of the customer. Let's do something over the long term, as opposed to, and I don't really care if you're selling boxes, i.e. commodity, or you're selling, $1 million solutions, software solutions. I think it's the same, in terms of, as you said, engage in a conversation, identify the problem that you can solve, and be empathetic, listen, and a lot of great salespeople are the ones that say, I don't think I can help you. And the customer will say, no, but I think you can. No, I don't think we can. We're not, we're the wrong person for you. And I've seen great salespeople walk away, not only to have the client or the customer come back and say, no, we definitely need you to do this. And I think that's, so posture is important too, about, being brave enough to know that you're wasting your own time and the clients by taking them down a path that's really not suited for them, or going back, if you're a consulting organization, going back and rewriting, the sale. I mean, I'll give you an example. So when I was in telco, I was in Australia, and we had a big team of us on the ground in Sydney, and we were trying to get a deal done with Telecom New Zealand, which is the main telephone company of New Zealand. And it was a big, lumpy outsourcing solution, okay? And Doug, every month the team would fly across from Sydney to New Zealand. We'd meet with Telecom New Zealand, very bureaucratic, and it was just frustrating. And I had multiple conversations with my bosses back in Chicago, screaming down the phone at me saying, why haven't you got this deal done? And we just couldn't get it done. It was just roadblock after roadblock. And I said to our CFO at the time, we have to tackle this another way. We can't if we keep going there for another year, we'll both get fired, right? So we have to tackle it another way. And so there were two guys on their management team at Telecom New Zealand that were in strategy, okay? So they had nothing to do with the sort of day-to-day business of the nuts and bolts of running the telephone company. So I asked for a meeting, and we sat down with these guys, and both these guys had gone to Wharton, and they had Wharton MBAs, very clever guys. And they were they were that very sort of standoffish, arrogant, consulting type. But, we had a couple of things in common about the US, and eventually their body language opened up, and they said, how can we help you? And I said, I don't know how to solve this problem. And that, whether that was a right or a wrong thing to say, they grabbed a marker and they got up on a whiteboard, and for the next 2 hours, they mapped out the strategy for us to sell into Telecom New Zealand. And then we called in the stakeholders, and they said, that's exactly what we'll do. And so that, I know that's a long-winded thing, and we will compress it on the video, but if you attack something from an alternate angle and actually admit to say, because a lot of, salespeople will never back down. They'll never admit defeat. They won't say that they're wrong. They won't say, I'm not sure. And I think that being genuine, what the customer really wants is you to be genuine and for you to understand their problem. But when we transferred the control to the Telecom New Zealand, strategy guys, they then wanted to map out, because then they got the credit for it. They got kudos for it. They were the ones that brought, and it was a big deal, Doug. I mean, it was millions of dollars worth of, revenue to us. And it was a sort of left of field lateral thinking outsourcing project, which was a great deal to get done. But I'm thinking had we not have approached it from a different angle, we just would have gone head to head and walked away.
Interesting. And I have a quick question, and because this just happened to me yesterday, we kind of talked about strategy, a sales strategy, and one of the things that always perplexes me or confused me was the role of AI teams or outbound sales. And yesterday, I turned down a job. It's one of the most lucrative jobs I would have ever gotten in my career. was to lead a BDR team, which was strange because I'm a marketer. I'm not a sales person. But they wanted me to overtake the email part and all the phone scripts and other things as well. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it as much as I wanted to, which was they were going to have me write scripts for people I don't know. So they were selling hospital PPE, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted to email or cold call hospitals around the country to sell PPEs. And I just didn't, for me, having spent near a decade focusing on the relationship side of marketing and trying to get people to just buy stuff from you because you're a person they trust and you build a relationship with them. What's your experience with BDR? Maybe I made the biggest mistake of my life by turning them down. I just couldn't feel it. It just sounds way too it just sounds really weird because a percentage of my sale, the percentage of my revenue would come from the sales themselves, as long as with the base retainer. But it was very overly back and loaded to make sure I brought in leads for the company. Anyway, long story short, let's hear from your BDR team. Are they good or bad? How do they fit in the overall strategy of a company?
Well, it's a good question because the consulting project I'm doing right now is we have exactly that challenge. We have a BDR team, and we have a frustrated sales organization, and we have marketing. And one of the reasons the company thinks it's not getting engagement on social media is because we never had this BDR resource. Okay, so or demand gen type resource, and so. The one thing I don't agree with is, for example, that BDR person taking over social media and posting on behalf of, the client. I think that's, and so we can talk about that a bit later. I think you should do it. I mean, because with corporate, the expectations are a lot lower. Okay. So they're going to pay you to a retainer to do the bulk, to do the work, strategy, email, execution, copy. And then I'm assuming you'd get on the phone with the BDR team and take them through it. But, you're an orchestra conductor at that point. You can continue to refine the strategy. You can continue to refine the results, because the good thing is there'll be enough volume in there that you'll be able to refine the offer. You'll be able to split test the copy, the headlines, the call to actions. And so.
Before you go further, why would you not have a BDR person in charge of the social media outreach?
Because.
What's the psychology of the BDR?
Well, I think that, do you want someone posting for Doug Lawson tomorrow?
No.
Right. You don't. And sorry. And we'd know straight away. If someone comes tomorrow and posts on your profile, I will smell that from a mile away. I had a colleague in our industry, and he had someone post on his LinkedIn. He can't get traction on LinkedIn. He gets traction on Facebook, and he's considered a guru in our industry. And he had someone posting on LinkedIn, and that person did the unthinkable, did the very worst. What's the worst thing you could do when you post on someone, or when you get someone to post content for you? The very worst thing is he copied content from someone else. He just cut and paste the content, put it on under his boss's name, and said, and then, it's like the girls on dating. This is okay, a bit funny, but it's not funny. It's like the girls on dating sites. You have to put your picture, profile picture, and you put a few pictures. there are many girls, not many, there are a handful of women that will put up a picture of a porn star. Okay. Now, guys are many things. Okay. We forget birthdays. We don't know where our kids go to school. I don't know my ex-wife's favorite color. I probably couldn't even tell you the color of my daughter's eyes. But if you put a picture of a porn star on a profile on a dating website, there's not a guy in America that wouldn't recognize that face. Okay. Now they may not want to admit it in public, but trust me, you know. Okay. So that's the worst. That's the worst that you can do. And so, because you get found out, and so go back to your BDR issue, is that BDRs are there to generate demand. Okay. They need to start the conversation. So, okay, and LinkedIn lets you have a personal profile and a business page. So let the BDRs fluff around all day in the business page, but they're never going to get the same engagement as Doug Lawson, the CEO of Lawson Copy. Okay. And so there should be a dual strategy for that.
Let me just say that my humble opinion, ethically, it's wrong to have somebody to outsource your personal contact and have them write it for you and then post it on because you claim to be a bad writer. Absolutely. Two, people can, emphasize on the word can, sniff that out. But there are those who cannot. And I write several people on social media website, and I found that the reason why you should outsource your social media content in some cases is because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're going on LinkedIn or you're going on, Instagram, and you're typing in a way that does not engage your audience. And you're not listening to the copywriting person telling you, stop doing that. Here's the formula, blah, 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 blah. Follow the formula. All you have to do is take things in and out and make it your own. And then, they'll get back to high quality. They say, we can't get any traction from social media. It doesn't work. So let's go to BDR. Let's start cold calling and let's start cold emailing people. I say at that point, you need to hire somebody like me. This is not an advertisement for me, but what I do is that I have the formulas in my head. I have the strategies for every person on your team. And I will set up a call with everybody and I will record the questions, the answers I had. So I'm not making anything up. I'm going to get it out of your head. And I'm just going to type it for you. And then I'm going to give it back to you. I'll type up 10 at a time. And they're all yours. But I've crafted them to have an outstanding hook. Keep the interest, raise the desire, and get them engaged on the post and increase DMs. So look, that's me. So
look, I agree with you.
I think people will be astounded how many of my clients are ghostwriting clients. That's the best way I can say it. Go back to your Tinder profile analogy. So people have paid me not only to write the Tinder profile, but to respond in the DMs. And if you can use that analogy. So it can work if you hire the right person, but it's not a great long-term strategy.
No, look, I agree with you and I don't agree with you. So here's what I agree with. All I want people to be is genuine. Okay. So if you are not a good writer and it's something that you don't like doing, then fine. And you need to be on social media. You're in a business or an industry or just personally, you want to grow your presence. But at some point, you're going to have to be the genuine you. Okay. So would I much prefer, Matt Damon or Hugh Jackman to go on my dates instead of me? Of course. They look a lot better than me. Why wouldn't I? Right. But at some point, the real you is going to have to stand up and be counted. And so the copywriting or you ghostwriting for people is hopefully a short-term fix until that person either listens to what you've been doing, i.e. watches what you've been doing, picks up on the strategy and says, yeah, I think I've now got it. I'm going to see if Doug will let me, go off on my own. Because it's the same analogy of, if I'm going to get paid to speak, they don't want to hear anybody else. I think they want to get paid to speak. Or if the work that you've been doing with us, Doug, I found out that someone in the Philippines or India has been doing it and it's not you, then that's disingenuous. Okay. And so I think that it depends on I think it does depend on the situation. Okay. In dating profiles, oh my God, pay someone unless you're blessed in copy, pay someone to do it. Like, absolutely. Like, do not waste your time. It will save you so much heartache. I can't tell you. Okay. So, and pay as much as you can possibly afford and have like 3 profiles and change the copy and split test and approach it scientifically. That is a given. But, I think that it's the same thing with being funny. You can't teach a person to be funny.
No.
Okay. So don't try and be funny if you're not funny. And so just stick to what you're good at. And the really good people on LinkedIn and know that, I'll just stick to this. Some of the best people are post very short posts. They just get to that point. And so I think you've got to have a really candid conversation with saying, look, this is who I am. This is my identity. This is what I stand for. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. I mean, it's like you and I could have a conversation with anyone at a bar. Now, they might be short conversations or they might be long conversations, but we could still get someone to talk about themselves. And that's what I think should come out on social media. So.
Yeah, and the reason why I think I turned down the BDR, because as you were talking, is that I think it's
you should go get it back. Go get it back. Go get it back. Stop the call right now and get it back. You've had to.
I feel like every time I work with sales teams on content, I have to be a psychologist in the way that I have to fix you before you can do what needs to be done. Because fundamentally, BDR guys are a different breed of people that it will take a long time for me to get revenue. Because
that's how you're getting a retainer. That's why you're getting a retainer. So like if the company's smart, they're going to say, yeah, we'll have to, and you just need to know how to manage the upline into saying, I'm sorry, your BDRs are morons. Until they get this, I'm not going to get you the result. You'll be paying my retainer for the next year. In fact, I'm going to increase the retainer because they are idiots. Let me speak to them.
Okay. You know what? I need to hire you to be my closer.
Yeah, well.
So I get people in my DM, we talk, and I say, you know what? You're going to have to talk to Simon before we close the deal, okay? Hey. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah,
take care. And then I hand the phone over to you. And you'll get 10% of every deal you close for me.
I don't want your money. You should. Go back and get that deal. You've left money on the table. Hang up the phone. But
I have instant buying regret. No, lack of buying regret.
So instantly.
Just talking about it. But I'll call them up later. See, hey, man, I was emotional. I had to shovel my own driveway. I was pissed off, dude.
Yeah, I'll pay for someone to come.
Do you hate me, Simon?
What?
I know. Wow. Anyway, I thought this was a great conversation because we touched up overall sales, marketing, dating. It's all about psychology. It's all about understanding the psychology of people. And I think people neglect that and they focus on tactics without understanding why tactics work.
Well,
You know what I mean?
It's a bit like the whole sell me the pen, tactic. So if you get called into everyone in sales remembers that sales meeting where you get called into the interview and you've got 2 or 3 people across the table and they say sell me the pen, and so you see that poor hapless rookie salesperson saying shit, well, and they pick up the pen and saying, look at this, isn't it a wonderful texture in your hand, and it holds X amount of ink, and it's got one of those track balls that's smooth and it doesn't wear out, and it's going to be able to last you for at least 10,000 pages and blah, 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 which is all bullshit. Okay. The question that we have to teach people now is that why do you need a pen? Tell me why you need a pen, Doug. Have you got a blank check you can't sign for me? But look, if someone asked me that, I would say, I'm sorry, the company's obviously in deep financial crisis. You don't need a pen, you need an accountant if you can't afford a pen, or like I wouldn't even engage in such stupid, questions, or I would, my answers would be as stupid as theirs. So, I think that because it's adversarial, it's confrontational, it's not solving the problem, it's not empathetic, it's not, why did we even get to the point of, so you're going to make a decision on hiring, right, and investing $100,000 in me based on my ability to sell you a pen. Okay, that's nonsense. And I bet you people have hired based on that criteria. Oh, he was really good. He passed us the pen test. Okay, and now he's going to fly, a $28 million aircraft. Yes. Did we test that bit? Well, no. How does he handle conflict, stress? How does he interact with other people? None of that. Now, I know I'm embellishing the truth, but you can be sure that plenty of people have been hired based on that stupid exercise. And I think the world's moved on from that. Look, and I think the world from over the last 12 months, Doug, of us all sitting at home in our underwear, has meant us, we've done a lot of reflecting. And it's the reason Clubhouse has gone ballistic, because in the lack of this social dynamic, you and I haven't even met yet in person. We've never had a beer together. We've never had a meal together. I've never rubbed you on your shiny head. That's what, weird guys like us do when we get together. Okay. And so Clubhouse is that sort of compromise for everybody, because we can all, it's like listening to your favorite radio station and then being able to actually talk to the DJ and then go back and listen, talk again, and then go in and out of radio stations without being, accosted. And that's why I think it's amazing. And by the way, I'm having my first Clubhouse on Friday, on the 29th. And it's at 8 o'clock Mountain, and just look for me, 8 Black on Clubhouse. If you need an invite, I've got 2 more. And it's just called The Missing 10% in Sales. So is that okay? I gave myself a plug. You can charge me later. Okay.
It sounds like fun. That would be a room I think people would love to hang out with. And because not only do you have a world of knowledge, but you're also a guy who gets it. It's hard to explain somebody who gets it. You're engaging, you're interactive, you have empathy, you have all the things we were talking about today. And you're a funny guy. So I hope people get in on one of the rooms and have a good time. It's all about having a good time. And at the end of the day, making the right connection. Right. Whether you're learning, connecting the dots, or connecting people to make a business decision, if you can make that happen, worth your time. And it's free. That's the crazy thing about all of that. It's free.
I had a chat though, Doug, yesterday with a good buddy of mine who's actually going to help moderate my session on Friday. And we had a good chat about how they're going to monetize it, how we think it could be monetized. So I think that's the next level. how would you hypothetically listen to it? How would you listen to radio? Do you just use Translate, Google Translate?
If you're talking about radio, like in the car,
Yeah.
my kids have been, I just found out that my kids have been listening to really inappropriate songs for the last
Yeah, well, that's
decade. And
welcome to my life.
I just happened to look up at the radio, because they have their own radio, and they left it on the ground. So I picked it up and I was looking at it, the Spotify, and the title of the song was by Ariana Grande. It's 35 plus 34 and equals what? And that's the title of the song. And my daughter, who's 8, is listening to a song called 34 plus 35, and which equals 69. For those of you who don't know that. And I'm like, holy fuck. So to answer your question, radio-wise, I hear nothing. But Clubhouse, I'm going to have to download the app. And then get my computer, put it on the Google Meet, and put it on the speaker, and let Google Meet translate everything. It's a big pain in the ass. But for you, I'll do it.
No, because I want you to be in the audience and heckle from the background. I just want to hear this deep breathing and heckling in the background and say, "Oh, that's Doug. Come on, Doug."
I hear you. I think we're good.
We're good?
Yeah, we're good. Let's stop recording.
Do you want me to go back and do anything else?